Yeah, I'd say that rotor's gone. I'm definitely the shoemaker with the holes in my shoes. I'm always fixing everybody else's stuff. It's time to do brakes on the truck. I'm on borrowed time. So anyway, after you get that tire off, you take that caliper off like I showed you, and get those brake pads off. And these just fell apart as I pried them out. They were all stuck in there, okay? After you get the brake pads out, take a picture if you haven't done this before, so you remember how everything goes back together. But when you get everything apart, what you're going to need to get to do the brake job are new rotors, if they're this bad. They don't even really resurface these anymore. So you'll need rotors, and you'll need a new hardware kit, which consists of these slides here, these metal pieces. That's what the brake pads ride on. Okay. They just sell them at the auto parts store, and they just pry out. Okay, so you'll need new slides, new pads, rotors, and probably some brake cleaner. Perfect world, that hub is going to pull right off. This is the first time I've done this on this truck. You can see how rusty it is. So what you're going to have to do is just a little, it's going to be brute force. Spray it down real good. Inside here, the seam where that's going to come off. Okay, here's your axle hub. So it's going to separate right there. So you're going to want to clean that out real good. Spray it down real good. If your rotor is still good and you're not replacing it, do not go pounding it with a hammer, because you're just going to mar up the surface, and then you're going to be forced to buy new rotors. These are no good, so I'm just going to go to town with the hammer to pound this off. That's usually the hardest part of the job, is just getting this off. Okay, after you get that rotor off, you're going to want to clean up everything here. So brake cleaner over the entire surface with like a brush. You're going to want to clean. Here are the emergency brake shoes. Mine are still good, but I'll lubricate the adjusters and the pins that they ride on. Okay, and then after you get that all cleaned up, you're going to want to clean up your brake caliper also. Okay, this one's pretty rusty, and you can see that the pistons to it are out all the way. So I'll show you how to retract them so that you can put the new pads on when you get the rotor back on. Okay, I cleaned that up with the brake cleaner, got all the dust and everything off of it. When it comes time to the caliper, okay, you're going to want to just use a bungee cord or something to support it. You don't want it hanging from the brake line, because you might end up breaking it, and then you're going to have to get a new brake line. What you're looking for at the caliper here, I pulled this one out just so you can see. This is the slide, okay? That's where the bolts go to hold it in. And these are supposed to move freely in there so that when you press the brake pedal, they can come in and out and contract, okay? This side here, I don't know if you can see on the camera, is locked, so it's stuck. So what you're going to need to do when that happens is you're going to have to carefully push out the slide from the back here. Okay, it's got these boots. So you got to take the boot off the tip of it in the back and carefully push it out. I like to use a wood dowel, because if you use a screwdriver and you mar the inside surface of that, it's never going to slide right. Even if you get like one scratch in there, it'll tend to bind up. Okay, so just be careful when you pull them out. Okay, so I just push this one out from the back with a dowel. You can see this is what it looks like. Okay, that's the slide. Okay, you're going to want to clean that up with brake cleaner. Okay, and when you reinstall it, you're going to want to lubricate that, not with grease. You can get this at any auto parts store. It's just brake lubricant. It's just in case any of it comes out. It doesn't leave a residue on like the pads or the rotor. Okay, but this is the stuff you want to lubricate that piston slide with. Okay, I cleaned up the slides, and just to show you, this is what you're looking for. I've already cleaned this one up, greased it, but it's got to move like this. If it doesn't go back and forth like that, don't even try installing it because you're going to have a problem. Okay, so just squirt your brake cleaner down in there, get it nice and clean. Be careful you don't get any dirt or anything in there, and then put a little bit of that lubricant right inside the boot there, a little bit on the slide, and then install it. There's a groove on the slide there. Okay, that's what the boot catches at the end. So just make sure that the end of the boot is in that groove on the top and on the bottom after you install it, and that you got that free movement like you do on this side, and you'll be good to go. After you get your slides in, now you're going to have to retract the two pistons here. If you don't, you won't be able to get this caliper back on the rotor with the pads, because they're fully extended now because the pads were worn, and the new pads are going to be a lot thicker, so you're going to have to get these pistons back into the caliper. And the way you do that is take one of the old brake pads that you pulled off and put it in there, because you need something to push with. Then you're going to get a clamp, a big C-clamp, okay? You're going to put your clamp in here like this, okay? And then you're going to tighten it. And when you do, those pistons will go back into the caliper. I don't think I can do that and hold the camera, but you get the idea. So brake pad on top, and then C-clamp, tighten that down, and they'll retract. Parts, and I'm ready to install the rotor. But the last thing you're going to need to do to install that new rotor is in the back here. You see right where I got the tip of the screwdriver, there's a plug in there. Okay, it pops out. It's just a rubber plug. It's this little plug right here. Okay, it just prevents water from getting in there. Okay, you've got to take that plug out. It comes out from the back side. Okay, and that's where you're going to adjust your emergency brake. In order to get the rotor on, you got to remember your new rotor hasn't been used yet, so the thickness of that rotor is going to be thicker than the old one you took off. So it's probably not going to push right back on there. Okay, so what you're going to have to do is loosen up the shoes on your emergency brake. Okay, and that's done right here. There's a screw here, lefty tighty, righty loosey. Okay. You're going to loosen that all the way so that the two shoes come together like this, and that's going to give you the room you need to be able to put that new rotor on. Okay? If you've never done it before, mess around with it a little bit with the screwdriver, because what you're going to have to do, once you get the rotor on, you're going to have to take a screwdriver, okay, one that'll fit. There's actually a special tool. It doesn't fit in this truck, so you've got to use a screwdriver. And you're going to put it to the back. See the tip of the screwdriver? And on the star wheel there, you're going to grab a tooth on the star, and you're going to turn it to tighten up the shoes again. Okay? And I'll show you how to do that. But just orient yourself to the screwdriver and how you manipulate it in there to make these open and close, because it's going to be hard to do if you've never done it before. What you're going to do is you're going to tighten them up to a point where the rotor just starts getting just a little bit of resistance, and then you're going to stop. If you go too tight, it's going to be like you have your emergency brake, engaged all the time, and you're going to burn up your shoes. Okay, so I got the rotor on there, and I adjusted those shoes like I was telling you about. And you should be able to as I turn it, I can just feel those shoes in there expanding out and hitting the inside surface here. So I'm set just right. Okay, it's going to be hard to turn. You're going to have a little resistance because you can't grab it. There's not a whole lot of torque. Just grabbing this, and I still have the other tire on the other side. So it's a little hard, but it's just rubbing, and that's what you're looking for. So after this, everything goes back on just the way you took it off. The reverse order. I'll show you some pictures as I do that. After that's all done, you're going to want to clean both sides of the rotor with some brake clean, so any of your fingerprints and grease that have gotten on there, you get off of there, so you don't have squeaky brakes. At this point, I got the bracket back on there. I'm just getting ready to put the caliper back on. Pads got to go in first. If you spend just a little bit more money, get the better pads, and it'll come with the new hardware, the new slides, and it also comes with the lubricant that you need to put on these slides here, where the pads are going to ride. You don't want to put too much on there because you don't want to get it on the surface of the rotor, but you do need to put some of that on there so this will go back and forth freely. And then after that, just put your caliper on, and I'll show you a picture of that.